So we got like a couple minutes here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple things. So this is a kazoo. We talked a little bit about like doing the theme, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is kind of in the realm of stupid that we are. What's the stupidest theme that I could think of? And it's kazoos, right? Like I was like, we should have like an award theme based on kazooing. And I bought a bunch of different kazoos, like all these plastic ones, and then I like shortened them to different lengths to see if it did a difference. Because I'm like, oh, it makes one sound, which is buzzing.
Yeah, it's you're basically just humming notes into it, and it comes across as distortion.
Right. Well, I wanted to like fix the kazoo or improve it. It doesn't need fixed. So I got like an aluminum one, and then I was thinking they have a wooden one, and I found this page. It was like the National Appreciators of Kazoos or something like that. It's a very like niche website. But
please go on.
It was like very dedicated kazooers. I don't know what they call themselves. There was even a list of like
kazooites,
kazooians, but they had like well-known kazooists. And then they had them separated by like living and dead.
Oh wow! They have like a living in memoriam of dead kazooers.
And I was like, what can you do with the fucking? Is anybody can do a kazoo? No. Like if you're good at a kazoo, you're fucking good at a kazoo. And I was like, well, I gotta work. Gotta practice. So if you guys want to join me, we got a couple minutes before we actually need to start the show. What we should kazoo. First of all, you're gonna want to flip that around.
Is this end?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was this little end.
No.
Oh, that's better. You're right.
Well, how does one kazoo a kazoo? You just like hum?
Yes.
Hum, yeah. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is awful radio, but here's the nice shiny kazoo.
this is Jack's pipe.
Yeah, yeah. It straight up looks. Oh, whoops! Wrong kazoo. So, Steve, since you're the guest, what would you like to kazoo?
I was not.
It's a big responsibility.
I was throwing you the hard ones right off the bat.
I mean, I feel like we had to do like the Imperial March or something.
So
okay,
what
we can do that.
What are we not going to get copyright stricken for?
Oh yeah,
Legally dissimilar Imperial March.
This is spoof.
We can make Heroes Fest. We do something that's old enough.
No, I want to do the Imperial March. If they find us and sue us, that will just give us a reason to be like, look at us. All right, yeah, go ahead and start us off. So now that we've gotten the serious business out of the way, I wanted to talk to you about religion. Let's just go and collect those now, huh? No, I trust you.
I deserve this.
Yeah.
Too much of a clap.
Juicy. Welcome to DeRazzled, the podcast that takes award-winning worst films and fixes them. I'm host Jack Attaboy McCulbertson, and here to suffer alongside me is stinky old regular guest Joe OK Boy McNeilis, and fresh as the day is long, Steve Great Boy McLuciano. Hi, Steve.
I deserve
Joe.
this. I mean, I see how it is. I slap myself in the face on the stream, and this is what I get.
It wasn't moist enough.
It wasn't. I'll give you that.
All the movies on DeRazzled won worst picture at the Razzies the day they were released. The year it was released.
Immediately. The second
They were like, oh my God. The Razzies, for those who don't know, are something of a reverse Oscars. They recognize the worst films of the year. With 43 remaining films to pick from, I've made wild assumptions about Steve's character and suggested we watch Battlefield Earth. Steve, do you think I chose appropriately?
Oh, you absolutely did. So we get to talk about the beautiful, wondrous, amazing film that was Battlefield Earth, and we're not going to change anything. Right?
No, we're just going to tilt it more.
Okay.
The Dutch angles didn't go far enough.
Interesting.
Like, if everything can just kind of be shot sideways.
Oh, dear God.
So how did...
John Travolta's performance suddenly seems a bit more down to earth this way.
Battlefield Earth.
Down to Battlefield
It was right there.
How did you first... How did Battlefield Earth first touch you?
So it came out, 2000?
2000.
2000?
So I think I heard the buzz about it as, a 11, 12-year-old boy interested in science fiction.
Good buzz?
Yeah, I mean, moderate buzz. Like, I didn't know about Scientology. I didn't know who L. Ron Hubbard was.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, I was just like, oh, there's a cool new science fiction movie. Oh, that
Yeah.
John Travolta guy is in it.
Mm-hmm.
He's
He did some
cool
Pulp
dude.
Fictioning.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that.
Right, no.
Yeah, same.
But, yeah, I was just like, oh, cool science fiction movie.
How-
It's got aliens.
How old would you have been in 2000? Year 2000?
12.
Yeah, you probably don't need to see like Gimp Mask Pulp Fiction at the age of 12.
It's a little early.
Yeah.
And
Do you see how I'm subtly trying to change this into a Pulp Fiction episode? Yeah.
What were the implications of Scientology on Pulp Fiction?
The reason that Battlefield Earth got made at all was because John Travolta had the clout of Pulp Fiction.
Not just the fact that he was Scientology's golden boy?
No, he'd been trying to make the film since he joined in like 1975.
the book came out in, 82? So,
Yeah. So no, I guess not in 75, but like as soon as he joined up and L. Ron's like, I haven't listened to the man in a while. Here's my book. Travolta's like, I want to be that Barry Pepper.
Yeah, I guess
Good
he...
boy.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're jumping ahead, but he originally wanted to make the film so that he could be Johnny Good Boy Tyler, who later in the book becomes Mick Tyler, because the Scottish are really, really cool. L. Ron's got a bit of a thing for the Scots for whatever reason. Is he Scottish? Do we
I
know?
don't know. I mean, there's that mystique about them.
Like, nothing against the Scots. Like, I'm part Scottish, but also, like, he really hits the Scottish hard. He's just like, oh, great. Who knows? But yeah, he'd been trying to make the movie for so long that by the time he made Pulp Fiction and people give a shit about him again, he was too old. So he's like, I guess I'll be Turl and really crush it.
Just really act as hard as I can.
Right, which makes you wonder what his Johnny would have been like. Like, would he have gone as fucking weird with Johnny as he did with Turl?
I don't know. I don't think he could have.
I mean, like Grease era John Travolta as Johnny Goodboy Tyler. Yeah.
Well, like, I think Pulp Fiction was 94. So I'm thinking John Travolta 94.
Like Vince Vega.
To me, he's not even that. He doesn't even look that old to me. Like,
No.
Barry Pepper and John Travolta, at least in Pulp Fiction, look about the same age to me. I don't know why he was like, no, I'm too old. I shall be the carbango slamming Turl.
That 6 years just did a number on him, apparently.
Yes. My first exposure was, I also was kind of aware of it, but only like post realization that it's awful.
I vaguely remember seeing commercials for it, like just like like random TV spots, but not hearing about it for years after the fact until I was seeing jokes made about how bad it was.
I really didn't think about it again. Like, it came out, and I didn't think about it again until I'd heard like L. Ron Hubbard's nname mentioned. He's like, he started a religion off of science fiction. I'm like, that's preposterous. You're being an asshole. Because I didn't look at the internet when I was a child.
Actually,
This is my friend Ashley Cloud. I remember like having this conversation walking down Hastings, which is a little like of a town, and I don't know how we were talking about like L. Ron Hubbard and Battlefield Earth, and she's like, no, it's like a religion. I'm like, you're full of shit. And then I think I told you guys this maybe during the live watch, but the Stapleton Library where we went to school, the prestigious IUP, was having a sale, and they were selling off like a bunch of like L. Ron Hubbard books and shit, but also like DVDs, and I was like, $1? I'll listen to you, L. Ron. And I did, and I just was so mad, because it's not even him talking about his literature or Scientology, it's talking shit on psychology. Like, he fucking hates psychologists.
He hates psychology.
I was reading a little bit about that. Before he had left the Navy, he had asked to receive psychiatric treatment.
Okay.
And it was only after that he really started to come down hard on like the psychology is evil side of things.
Interesting.
Or psychiatry is evil specifically, I think.
I can't remember where I read this, but so he created the device that, do you remember what it's called? The
E-meter?
The e-meter, yeah. He invented it. And he wanted it like introduced into the DSM, whatever they were on at that time. And everyone kind of like leaned their heads back and laughed. And he's like, well, I'll do my own thing then. I'll make my own club. And he did.
He sure did.
He did. He was unfortunately very successful.
It wasn't a problem at all for anyone.
No one was ever harmed, ever again.
We'll get to that.
Elrond. I can't like. I just like. I don't know. We need.
It's no. What is the? Does anyone know what the L stands for?
Lafayette.
No shit.
Yep.
It's kind of too cool. No, Elrond.
Elrond, as in like the Lord of the Rings character. See, I was even saying it. You couldn't hear.
No.
Like,
You were making it better.
Hugo is just like obese Hugo Weaving who hasn't showered in like months, on like in a jumpsuit, sunburnt because he's been on the ocean.
Right.
And just,
oh God, his hair's just like hard with salt water.
Hugo Weaving and mix him with Henry Zabrowski.
Jesus. I imagine Hugo Weaving is kind of being like post-human, where he doesn't shower, he doesn't need to.
And the dirt just sloughs off of him.
Yeah, he just thinks about not being dirty, and it happens.
He casts prestidigitation.
He does have constipation. So I'm going to try to summarize this movie in 3 minutes or less. Good God, I'm going to try. The novel, the novel's like, it's longer than It, for those who know the book It.
Which is wild.
Which is like, it's really, like, it's very long, but it's also very entertaining. It by Stephen King. But Battlefield Earth is long as or longer, and not as, at least not in my opinion, as interesting. I know you enjoyed.
Okay, yeah. I have better memories of it than I think it actually was, because I literally didn't have time to read the Wikipedia summary. That's how long. Like the Wikipedia summary of the novel is called out as being too detailed. But like it's not unnecessarily detailed.
No, it's just the book is that long.
Batshit over detailed. So
There's
I remember I have a lot of memories of the book, but I think that's with the passage of time. Like
right. I made it a little over halfway. I didn't even get to the point where they'd really beaten the Cyclos. It was just
spoilers.
Oh, spoilers for like
a
book that you really shouldn't read. Yeah. All right, Joe. We're gonna do it.
I'm gonna watch that clock.
Battlefield Earth takes place in the far-off future of 3000. It should follow young man Johnny Goodboy Tyler, but instead focuses on alien overlords known as Cyclos, which are a race of John Travoltas on stilts with dreads and SS coats. We open on Johnny arriving home and his primitive tribe, only to discover his father has died. He chucks a hacky sack full of magic beans in slow motion before the clan parson tells some ghost stories about Cyclos. Johnny runs away with his pet horse, Windbreaker. It's Windsplitter, but I'm changing it to Windbreaker. He meets some wild boys who take him to the mall. You guys know I watched this twice, right?
Yes, I do.
Thank you for your service.
Two Cyclos find and chase Johnny and the wild boys, shooting them with croissant-shaped guns that don't fit their spirit Halloween costume hands. One wild boy is shot to death while running through the one place in the empty mall that has sheets of plate glass lined up like dominoes. This is a half-assed recreation of the shot of the 1982 classic Blade Runner and is unforgivable. They capture Johnny and friend, then take them to the factory city, which is under a dome, which is full of cyclo-tasty air gas that they can breathe, but humans cannot. They give humans shoestrings to go over their noses, which allow them to breathe. Meanwhile, Turl, the most John Travolta of the Cyclos, hangs out / bullies his buddy Kerr, the least John Travoltas of the Cyclos. Turl gets news that he's staying on Earth because he fucked the senator's daughter, but that's okay because Kerr found a bunch of gold to mine. Without being able to return home, the gold's useless, but Turl wants that shit for reasons. Kerr wants it because he has 99 problems, and 5 of those are his wives. Johnny gains the respect of the other human prisoners when he first murders a Cyclo with a croissant gun loaded with ping pong balls, then trouses a guy over some Vegemite. John Travolta harasses a bartender while slamming some Carbango, which is a booze the same color as my pee after I've drank a 5-hour energy drink. Meanwhile, Cyclo, presumably also drunk on Carbango Jack Piss, crashes into a building, giving Johnny a chance to escape. He fails, but his chutzpah catches the eye of Turl, who needs a chutzpah-heavy human to lead the gold mining expedition. You see, the gold is surrounded by uranium, which turns the Cyclo air supply into pop rocks, and you can't breathe pop rocks, so Turl is gonna use humans who enjoy pop rocks. Even though Homo sapiens are already subjugated species, Turl feels he needs leverage over Johnny if he's going to get him to mine said gold. He releases Johnny and friends who dine on raw rats out of desperation. Turl assumes that's just how humans do things. After we see a throwaway character literally thrown away, a scene you can only watch in the longer theatrical cut because yes, there are 2 versions of Battlefield Earth and we watched the longer of the 2. Johnny's put into a learning chair. There we narrowly dodge the racism present in the book with the help of the letter L. With his Clink-O instructor and the yellow swirling beam, Johnny learns trigonometry, mining, and the Cyclo language. From there, a convoluted plot gets even more convoluted. Johnny learns to fly for reasons, and then, and when presented with the chance to kill Turl, withholds in hope of future genocide. Last page. Led by Johnny, the humans break into Fort Knox instead of mining the gold found by Turl. They also find a map in the Library of Congress that leads them to nukes. Several men also learn how to fly Harrier jets within a week with the use of a 1,000-year-old flight simulator, which is okay because the Harrier jets are magic floating planes anyway, who don't need no goddamned physics. In an underdeveloped subplot, Kerr thinks he's got leverage on Turl, but it's Kerr who has leverage on Kerr. He reveals the decapitated head of the bartender, and Forrest Whitaker yet again proves he's too good for this movie with a subtle and excellent handling of terrible dialogue. Having watched the movie twice, I still don't know how we stumbled into the climax of the film, but Johnny leads a charge against the Cyclodome. There's a dogfight between the Harrier jets and spacecrafts. The humans intend to blow a hole in the dome, releasing the tasty cyclo air, effectively smothering their enemy.
2 species enter, 1 species leaves. 2 species enter, 1 species leaves.
Johnny runs through a lobby as automatic weapons send bits of wall flying in slow-mo, a shot the Matrix did 1,000,000 times better just the year prior. Johnny confronts Turl. Robert the Fox, who I've forgotten to mention earlier, but he shows up and he's, I guess, Scottish, beams up to the Cyclo planet with the nukes. Mickey sacrifices himself to blow a hole in the dome. Piece of cake. The nukes go off, blowing the planet Cyclo to smithereens, and thus making Johnny a war criminal, guilty of genocide on a global level. Johnny tricks Turl into blowing off his arm. Turl blows his own arm off of his body because Johnny is crafty, which means the humans won. We cut to Turl locked in a cage within Fort Knox. In an attempt at irony, he's surrounded by the gold he wanted so badly. We tilt up to reveal that the filmmakers are stealing the warehouse shot from Raiders of the Lost Ark. The end. Whew. That was not. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that was 5 minutes, but still not bad. I do think you said Kerr tricked Kerr, or had leverage on Kerr at some point. Well, I think you meant Turl had leverage on Kerr.
There's a lot of leverage going on.
Who fucking cares?
Right.
Leverage, Joe. Leverage.
The leverage was the important word in that entire film.
They say it a lot in the film, but they don't say it nearly as often as they do in the book.
As you had mentioned.
God bless that narrator for getting through that. I think it's like a 42-hour audiobook. 45, something like that.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's stupid.
Lots of good drugs back in the 70s when
Yes.
Hyaluron was right there.
So that was basically the movie, right? Did I miss anything important?
No, that felt pretty good.
I wanted to add in the part with the weird like tongue, CGI tongue, but I didn't remember the context of it, so I left it out.
No, the casual misogyny.
Yeah, like what you don't get from the summary is just how misogynistic and cringy the movie is.
I think you mentioned there are like two female, 3 counting the woman with the tongue. Female characters, and I don't think you mentioned any of them.
No. Well, like
yeah.
I mentioned them in the production part that we'll get to, but the story they're not important.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't. Yeah, unfortunately, you have no reason.
Yeah, in the book at least, Johnny has a character named Chrissy that he's like, she's pretty, and Turl's like, leverage. I shall use her for leverage, and that's it. She also has a little sister, but I can't remember what she's there for. So normally this is the part that we would do like factoids, like little history things, but I wanted to take this opportunity to hold those responsible.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah. So I narrowed it. There are many people that are responsible, but I narrowed it down to 5. So the first one is, I'm going to quote directly from a Vice article. This is about, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, Eli Samha, I'm going to say. Eli Samha was a hustler, a dry cleaner from Beirut who moved to Los Angeles the year Hubbard published Battlefield Earth. Quote within a quote. His second language was fuck, so he couldn't speak without motherfucking cocksucker 2-ball bitch. End quote. Says Battlefield Earth's executive producer, Andrew Stevens. He was later sued for using the budget monies for the movie on stocks and shit, but like it didn't go well. They were like German stocks. I don't know why that matters, but he said that, and then it like went tits up. He got the fuck suit out of him.
Yeah.
So like the already
a one-way ticket to a courtroom,
pretty tiny budget as far as like big summer blockbusters go was shrunk even further
because of this guy's embezzling from German stocks.
Yeah. So the screenplay writer had to rewrite the screenplay because he's like, we can't do this shit on this budget. So thank you, Eli Samaha. Next, and this does not do any, like, I think last podcast is like a 5-part series on Elrond, and I'm sure there's even
something like that, 4 or 5 parts.
Behind the Bastards hasn't, it's the whole podcast is like secretly about L. Ron Hubbard.
Pretty much.
L. Ron Hubbard is the author of the book, and more importantly, grifter who created Scientology. Without his shitty book and the deluxe size cult, we wouldn't have this awful movie.
Very true.
Next up is John Travolta, who joined the Church of Scientology in 1975. As soon as the book was published, he wanted to make it into a movie. He was originally going to play Johnny. We talked about this a little bit at some point, but it took too long for him to find like a studio that was like, Scientology, huh? Terrible long book, huh? Amen. When did Lord of the Rings come out? The first one.
In 2001.
Okay.
But I think it would have been in production around the same time.
Yeah.
Like 99. 2000.
So studios must have just been like hungry for those long ass books, huh? So he wanted to be John Travolta wanted to be Johnny, but it took for fucking ever. So he ended up being Turl. But because he has like Turl is a main character in the book, but as far as narrative goes, you don't really need him as much as Johnny. Like he's the antagonist.
Sure.
So in the original script, Johnny was the protagonist and like took up the most screen time. But then John Travolta's like, but I shall be Turtle now, and I want more screen time. And they rewrote it to fit his ego, which is fine, except for he then refused to be on set beyond a certain amount of hours, and he already had to be in the makeup chair for like 3 hours to do the makeup. But then he didn't want to be on set for too much longer after that. So.
Cyclo-sized ego. Which I don't know if you mentioned. Did you mention that the cyclos are like 9 feet tall?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, they're supposed to be gargantuan, right?
I did say that they were on stilts with dreadlocks and SS coats.
Yes.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
That tracks.
Well, they're cheaper. They're cheaply made compared to SS coats. Anyway.
I'd believe that.
Yeah, they look like faux leather.
Budget, man. Budget.
That's true. Yeah, they spent the budget on German stocks.
I don't know why, but I really want to believe that he thought he was buying German stocks and was just buying like a bunch of overstock of like old Kraftwerk albums.
Yes, that's what happened. So the fourth person responsible for this mess is I'm gonna mispronounce his name, even though it's not that hard. David Miscavige. So which like
I was wondering if we
God.
were gonna get into Davey at all during this.
We have to because of what he did during production.
Oh, hit me with this.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, you live a sheltered, blessed life. But
you're better off.
You're
but
better
here
off.
we are to fuck up your
But
day
here
with
we
David
are.
Miscavige.
So when L. Ron Hubbard, he didn't die. He was just done with his earthly form and left. He's waiting for us.
His Thetan is in space handling, errands.
Yes, Aaron.
Space milk and eggs.
Ew. So David Miscavige took over as leader. So while Hubbard was a bad person who hated psychologists, psychologists,
Psychiatrists?
psychologists.
Oh.
Yeah, subtle, right? Douche. So he sucked. He was a bad person, but reports of abuse ballooned under Miscavige.
Yes.
Which is awful. I'm laughing because I don't know what.
It's is uncomfortable laughter, folks. This is
How's your wife, David? How's your wife, David?
Where is Shelley?
Where's she been?
Where's Shelley been?
She is fine and alive. I think that's what like the press release was.
Yeah, so supposedly she's like alive and in a cabin somewhere, and allegedly police have had contact with her, and she's been like, "Leave me alone." But like, no one's been able to further verify that. So who knows?
The Church of Scientology, who has more money than a Christian God, definitely didn't pay off those cops.
No. Why would anyone do that?
So during filming of Battlefield Earth, he sat in on the dailies, micromanaging the production. Dailies, for those who don't know, are whatever was filmed that day.
Yeah.
The producers, the executive producers, the directors, sometimes actors will sit and watch the dailies to see like, oh, this was good, this was bad, we have to reshoot this, or like, haha, my ego. David Miscavige sat in to make sure that whatever was being shot was matching up with the Church of Scientology's shit.
Of course.
So like, he was pumped, right? Like he thought this movie was going to make everyone a bazillion cyclo dollars, and everyone was going to like leave Christianity and go become a Scientologist. And then day one, the review came out, and he's like, that Do I have a quote? He definitely calls John Travolta, a traitorous cocksucker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was like, I'm taking that quote. Because damn.
That is...
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, he's like, he's a traitorous cocksucker and blamed like the entire movie on him. He's like, he's not even a real Scientologist because he took pay for this movie, which I think since he's a guild he would have had to anyway, but whatever. And supposedly, so I watched this interview with the former second in command of Scientology, and that's where this information comes from. So like, I'm leaning towards believing him.
Sprinkle some grains of salt.
But there's some salt on
fair.
there.
Yeah. A little salt on that rim.
Yes.
That rim of the great pan of Cabango.
Yes.
Carbango. I guess I didn't mention that in the... No, I did.
You mentioned it, yeah.
You
made that whole allusion to your piss.
It looks like my piss.
Just...
And now I know what Jack's piss looks like.
Only after 5 hour energy drink. It's kind of like irradiated.
Need you to specifically drink a 5 hour energy and then go to a doctor. Just...
I feel funny. It's worse with Rockstar, but we don't need to get into that.
I mean, that's just Rockstar.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure this like in the fine print on the side of that can
is at least 50% piss.
Also, on the side of the can, it's in the ingredients list. The FDA makes them put it there.
Guarana, ammonia, piss.
Ammonia?
Yeah.
Jesus. No, that's already in the piss.
Right.
No, you gotta sanitize the piss.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Jesus
fucking Christ.
One other note on Miscavige. Apparently, again, this is a little salt. But apparently after they all saw the first reviews, Tom Cruise, the more important John Travolta,
the golden boy, was like, went up to Miscavige and was just like pissed. Like, what did John do? Referring to John Travolta. It's like, what did John do? And Miscavige was like, he's a traitorous cocksucker.
Impressive person.
Yeah. So he was on their shit list for a little while. I mean, he's still a Scientologist, I believe. So
I think
must not have been that bad.
I think he is still in the church. I don't know if he's like thoroughly involved with things.
No, I don't think so. And I don't think he's made a movie of note in a minute. Not that I should mention, like, I don't think he's a terrible actor.
No, I actually like a lot of John Travolta's stuff. Like he's a pretty solid actor. I didn't hate him in Hairspray.
I didn't see that. I saw the original. What, he's not in it?
Yeah. I mean, he's no divine, but
well, yeah,
right.
Yeah, the last person to blame, and like,
is us
for reminding you that this movie exists. So the last person is the director, Roger Christian, who, like, on this list of awful human beings is the only person I would not be scared to be in the room with alone. Like, he just seems like a guy who fucked up.
I believe that.
Like, he was not the man for the job, but then again, like, no one was, but he really didn't make things better. Because it was his idea to make the movie look like a comic book.
Was he like a Scientology student?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Oh, he was an outside influence, really?
He was hired because he worked on science fiction stuff before.
Okay.
So he was like, do you know what like a second director is? Or not second director, the fuck is it? There's a term for the person that shoots like basically all the extra footage, like second. Thank you. Yeah, second unit director. Nice. F for Jack. Failed filmmaker. Yeah, he was a second unit director on like Star Wars films.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. So I would look at this guy like, oh yeah, he knows science fiction, he knows probably like some CGI shit.
He got all them desert shots for episode 1.
Yeah. Hey, there's some other ones too, but I can't remember. But he was the one's like, let's make this. It's like a comic book, and I'm like, you've never read one of those, have you, bud?
He doesn't say like you said that, and all I could. Wait, is that why there are so many Dutch angles?
That's exactly why there's so many Dutch angles.
Is he thinking that like Dutch angle equals like comic book framing?
That is exactly why. In fact, the second unit director on this film didn't shoot at a Dutch angle.
Oh,
and got in trouble.
Oh, you got yelled at for it?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
They're like,
For those listening, the Dutch angle is any angle that's not basically off of 90 degrees, off of flat level, yes?
Yes. If you're looking for like a well-known example, think the 1966 Batman? Is it 66? I can't remember. But the Adam West Batman, there was like a bunch of Dutch tilts or Dutch angles, especially in the fight scenes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, boys, that brings us to the end of Act 1. How we feeling?
I feel like I learned something more than I had. I'm honestly like learning some of that stuff. I'm surprised that Miscavige didn't try to just take over the director's chair at some point. Like,
I kind of wonder if Roger Christian was more of a puppet.
Well, Alan Smithy.
Yeah.
Going on.
Yeah, I think so. He like knew how to work a film set, but Miscavige was like, no, more tilt.
Using the Scientology to influence.
Yeah. Like what I wanted to do when we went into this was I wanted to figure out like what happened, because kind of like when we did Wild Wild West, there are some things that were unavoidable, right? Reading over, because I just touched on a little bit of the production. This would never have been a good movie.
No. And
if the 5 people I just mentioned, if they were involved in any way, it would not have worked. And since it was written by Elron, Lucrezia, Ronald...
Don't you drag my cat into this.
Oh, God. I think your cat could be the head of a cult. I think Luke could be the head of a cult at some point.
She already is.
I would not be surprised. That's my chief worry of having now moved in and having her in a place with other cats. She's just going. She's going recruiting. To bend them. She's recruiting. Oh, God. I'm going to come home one day and there's just going to be 50 cats all like just bowed before her.
But they're all wearing like the same like suit. It's all real cute. Like robes? Are they in robes or are they doing like suits?
Robes? Wizard's hats.
Ooh. But not like
the Sorcerer's Apprentice kind of
Can they all be wearing Mickey Mouse's like Fantasia outfit, like little red robes and like little booties?
That's exactly it. It's specifically a cult of copyright infringement.
Hey, parody is fair use.
Wonderful. So
yes.
we're gonna take a quick break for.
Yes, what just happened was not a break. That was
not a break. It's just stupid. We'll be back. Well, now I'm sad. Welcome back to DeRazzled. We are gonna jump straight into some stats.
Let's do it.
Give me the stats.
So these are specifically Razzie stats.
Yes.
So,
what did it win?
So it won Worst Picture for the 20th Golden Razzies. The only nomination that they were nominated for but didn't win was Worst Supporting Actor, which is Forrest Whitaker as Kerr.
I would have thought someone.
Yeah, seriously. He was better in that movie than he had any right to be. Than he had any reason to be.
He was just covered in the shit from other actors. But underneath that, he's still an excellent actor.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him later. So here are the wins, right? Worst actor, John Travolta. Worst supporting actor, Barry Pepper.
Oh,
I know.
Barry.
I know. Worst supporting actress, Kelly Peterson. Or Pierston. Prieston? She was the tongue girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They gave her the win for a scene where she just opened her mouth and somebody green screened a tongue into her face.
That's not her fault.
No. She didn't know what they were doing with that tongue.
Actually, based on what you said earlier, isn't that specifically David Miscavige's fault?
I'm blaming him, yes.
Okay.
Worst on-screen couple is John Travolta and anybody else who shares a scene with John Travolta.
Sure.
Worst director is Roger Christian. Worst screenplay is, Battlefield Earth and everyone who touched it. Now for some scores. The general Rotten Tomatoes score is, would you like to take a guess?
What was Wild Wild? No, that's not. Wild Wild West is like a decent movie.
I forget what it was.
Comparison.
I'm gonna say 3.
You're right. Yeah, it was 3%.
Oh,
yeah. Now you're right on the money.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Now the audience score, the general score tends to be lower.
Yeah.
The audience score is a little higher because audiences.
7.
11.
12.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And then IMDb, my old buddy IMDb.
I feel like I looked at this at some points.
It's out of 10, you say?
Yeah.
3.2?
2.7.
2.5.
Damn it. 2.7 was my gut answer, and then I second guessed myself.
Close. So, based on what we've talked about so far, do you fellas think that it earned those scores and those awards?
Yeah.
Like 3 is a really bad score for a movie, and I saw that before we started watching it, but then I watched it and like, oh yeah, this is definitely a 3% movie.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely warranted.
Great. So what worked?
Forrest Whitaker.
So we're starting with cast. Forrest Whitaker.
Sorry, yeah, I that was
waiting
to say that.
You're right. Like, he's good.
He's so good.
He's like a real living being. He's not, like he has emotions. He has like connections. He's believable.
Like, I haven't watched a whole lot of Forrest Whitaker, but that movie made me want to watch more of him.
Yeah, 100%. Like, to have that kind of a performance in such a shit movie, to have be like, oh, I want to actively explore more of this guy's work.
Yeah,
that's an accomplishment.
It's hard to take that dialogue, like if it was just like a set in a modern day kind of a drama and the dialogue was crappy, you can still get through that. But like science fiction dialogue is hard to sell as is, let alone poorly written science fiction dialogue, and he had no problem.
None. It came off as effortless. It's wild.
Yeah. Who else? Anyone else?
I mean, I don't know. It's not Barry Pepper's fault.
It's not Barry Pepper's fault.
I don't think it's Barry Pepper's fault.
He did not,
I said I like Barry Pepper's face. It's got some very nice high cheekbones.
Yes.
Sure do.
And he does run really well in slow motion.
We'll give him that. Yeah.
Oh, the guy who's in Sons of Anarchy. He was.
Which one? Do you know which one he was?
Oh, yeah. I remember you pointed that out while we were watching it.
He was Tig.
Yeah.
He was okay.
Is he piece of cake or is he?
I think he was piece of cake.
He was
wasn't
piece of
he?
cake.
So, I wanted to explain that in the summary, but I don't know. I don't understand where it came from. But it's just something that the not Scots in the film, they changed the Scots just to like rowdy nature fellas.
Generic barbarians.
Yeah, and one of the things they say when they get excited is piece of cake, piece of cake, piece of cake,
piece of cake, piece of cake, piece of cake, piece of cake, piece of cake,
and like that. Yeah, it's. I could dance to that. For the like, if that character and that actor were in like Escape from New York, I'd be like, oh yeah, it was great. Or even like Demolition Man, I could see him.
Ooh, yeah.
But this movie, I'm like, nah, sorry, piece of cake. What worked for you as far as the story goes?
I mean, I think the general premise of like man is an endangered species, which was the tagline of the movie, if I am not mistaken.
It was, yes.
It was like the tagline. It wasn't like the first thing they say.
Yeah, it was both the tagline and like in digital text within the opening moments of the film.
And then I think it was actually like I think John Travolta said it, like at some point early on. Like,
I think you're right.
Hard, but I think like the premise is really cool. Of like aliens take over Earth. Humans survive on the fringe because of uranium.
Yeah.
Now you got to do the overflow. Like it's a great story. Like I would play that as a D&D campaign.
Oh hell yeah!
Or like some kind of tabletop.
Oh, that'd be fun as hell.
Yeah.
As like the setup sounds like an episode of the original Twilight Zone, which I would be down to see that 40-minute episode.
Yeah.
There's a key parameter there.
But like avoiding cyclos like. As long as you avoid the like weird anti-psychiatrist psychologist business, like
you can keep your Carbango.
I think you have to keep the Carbango.
In fact, give me your Carbango. I will drink your delicious, great cans of Carbango. Because
they drink it in the book. They say like pans of Carbango. In the movie, it looks like somebody took what's the like glass beaker thing? I think so. And then they like stretched the neck and then gave it a little like boop, a bowl at the top. Yeah. But with like Mountain Dew energy drink. And piss.
So there's this thing that happens when you mix Mountain Dew and Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Oh yeah,
it makes it look almost luminous. It kind of reminded me of that. A kid I played D&D with in high school did that once at a Taco Bell.
Absolute madman. I love it. Why have I never done that?
That sounds why
is that man working for NASA now, Joe?
No, I don't think so. Tim, if you're watching, what's up?
Send us some Carbango. For me, what worked about the story is that it's shorter than the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like that helps.
Yeah.
I would be interested in like a mini series or like a series. Like I feel like you could get a couple of good seasons out of.
What I would like,
I mean, where you're actually able to like plot things out and pace things reasonably and develop things and have good relationships and so on and so forth. Yeah, that could be feasible.
Did either of you ever watch the made-for-TV series of The Stand? It's like 3-4 hours long, and I think they showed it over 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I did not.
It was like mid 90s, early 90s. That is what like specifically I want this made early 90s, like a 4-hour miniseries with like not A-list actors,
no,
but not Z-list, but like BC area where
Yeah.
like, oh,
Like
I know
Barry
that.
Pepper.
Like Berry Pepper, I would keep
Yeah.
in that iteration.
Yeah, that could fit.
It'd be on like CBS, and like it would now currently be in the like $5 bin at Walmart.
Absolutely.
And I would watch it, and I would be filled with nostalgia.
How many VHSs would it take?
What's the?
I think it would be 4, like 4 episodes for
That's what the stand was, right?
I have it on Blu-ray, and it's 2 discs. Or
Oh,
sorry,
Jesus.
sorry, I'm in DVD.
I was gonna
It
say
was
2
like-
Blu-rays.
Jesus.
Holy shit!
It's long. Well, the Titanic was 2.
I think it was.
That was 2 VHSs.
Yeah. How long is Titanic?
Like 3 hours.
Okay.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
So,
Yeah.
maybe like. So maybe 3 VHSs for.
Okay. I can buy that. Sorry, rent. I'd rent that.
I like the fight in the mall. I did.
The first one?
The first one. Yeah. You know, I was like, this is kind of ridiculous, but
Yeah, that scene actually wasn't bad.
The
Like,
mall that was actually a library. Yes.
no, the library was later.
yeah.
Okay.
Like the first time we meet a physical cyclo,
Right. Okay. Nope.
when they run through the plate glass,
Yeah.
which is still unforgivable, but like that one part, excluding that one part, like them like it's a bunch of dudes and they don't know each other and they're sharing like stories over a fire in the mall, which sounds pretty cool actually.
Yeah, that scene wasn't
Probably doing
bad.
about half the malls in the
Right.
currently.
Yeah.
Set a random fire and no one will notice.
Century 3 Chevrolet.
We could probably go to a Taco Bell out near there, make us some carbango, and go hang out in a mall around a fire.
I know what I'm doing. Actually.
I've never been there, but do they have those little like planters in the middle of like the walkway?
There's got to be some areas where there's stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure they're very empty now.
I know the Indiana Mall had those
Yes,
little
they
like
absolutely did. Oh,
Planters and fountains.
yeah.
I can still hear the fountains in my head now.
This is this is the most millennial thing that I can think of doing is like just having nostalgia about like the mall.
Yeah.
I think this might be the key to me like figuring out meditation. I shit you not. Like,
oh my
I'm
god.
thinking about the sound of the fountains at the Indiana Mall, and I'm in. Like I'm ready to meditate.
You just
baby.
got into a flow state.
Yeah.
The other day I was so like I forget what the mall was that I had growing up. I was like, hey Belinda, did you ever see a bubblegum machine that was actually like a chicken? Like there's a chicken in the middle, and you put a quarter in, and the chicken was spinning like, and then the egg would come out.
Yeah.
I had Fred Flintstone. It was Fred Flintstone in the middle. And he'd go, yabba dabba doo, like 3 times, and then the egg would come out, and you'd get like it. It was like what all the other bubblegum machines. It's like they're leftovers, like miscellaneous toys. And she looked at me like I was insane.
Sorry.
Well,
The Fred Flintstone still laid an egg?
Yeah. Well, an egg came out. I might have been like crossing the streams, but
Is this like a fly situation? Like Fred Flintstone and a chicken get stuck in a teleporter and
he
then
stole it from Dino. Duh.
I assumed it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I assumed it was like a dino egg. I didn't think that like Fred was part chicken.
Maybe that's the secret to the show that we've been missing this entire time.
Maybe that's the missing link. We were part chicken.
Maybe that's why John Goodman didn't come back for the other movie.
He's like, I'm not shitting any eggs, guys. Jesus Christ, we are so far off topic. This is how little we want to talk about this fucking movie.
I'm listening to the fountain in my head. I'm good.
Yeah.
I can like kind of hear it and like the plink of pennies.
Yep.
Can we make that podcast? It's just it's like 90 minutes of mall fountain with the occasional plink.
Yes.
You hear some food court noises in
Right.
the background.
We'll get some room tone before we set our fire in Central 3 Mall.
Perfect.
God, I want some like mall chicken teriyaki. Anyway, I actually liked the dynamic, like the relationship dynamic between Kerr and Turl.
Yeah, it's like mentor, rival.
Yeah. And their personalities, like John Travolta was too much, obviously, but
Oh my god, yeah.
his extreme made Forrest Whitaker's subtlety work all the more.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. Like having that juxtaposition of like, oh, you're completely off the rails on like
Yeah.
off like out of this reality with what you're doing, and then Forrest Whitaker is just killing it.
Yeah. And then the last thing I liked as far as story goes is I actually like the scene where Johnny beats the living shit out of a guy in some like Vegemite. Not the fight itself, but that he's like, we don't need to fight over the poop. We can all eat the poop.
Did the food have to be like?
It was
Is it described that way in the book as being like this like
No.
runny post Taco Bell like
because in the book
refuse?
In the book, the cyclos haven't really interacted with humans at all. Turl's the first one that interacts with a human.
So Turl, so this is a fun anecdote that I enjoy is
okay.
So Turl is trying to like Johnny Goodboy Tyler won't eat, and Turl needs to figure out what he eats. So he lets him think that he escaped. He lets Johnny think he escaped. So Johnny runs away, needs to find food, and the first thing he finds is a rat. And so he's like, well, shit, I'm going to eat this goddamn rat. So he kills a rat and eats it raw. And then Turl's like, oh, yes, the human loves raw rat. I must shoot and give him raw rat.
Which they kind of do in the movie, but it doesn't read quite as well.
No.
But yeah, I like that part too. So no, there's no like kind of soft poop in the movie. I'm glad we got these pop filters so I could keep saying poop.
Poop.
So I'll just take a moment to enjoy saying poop into our
Poppycock.
pop filters.
It actually means soft dung in Dutch. Poppycock.
Really?
Or that's the origin.
Huh. Oh shit. The scene, aside from being disgusting and ridiculous, kind of sets Johnny up to be like a leader of the people, which is what you need. They just didn't carry or follow through.
Sure.
And then I have, so like, let's move on to themes. What worked for themes? I have one. Do either of you have any themes that you liked in the movie? Okay, you kind of talked about it a little bit when you were saying like, man is going extinct. Yeah. For me, and I only caught this upon the second watching, but the Wild Boys at the beginning, they think that the statues within the city are people who angered the gods and then were turned into statues.
I dig that.
Which I dig, even on like just surface level, but like thinking about who the statues are typically made of, you know, like our politicians or war heroes, and imagining that those were the people that angered the gods, kind of gave me a little like
kind of a wild idea.
Accidental meta commentary.
Yeah. I'm probably thinking like reading way too much into it, but I like that anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, the whole like, you know, sort of boomerang. I don't know, but like the idea of like the cyclos sow the seeds of their own destruction. Like they teach man how to do this thing, and then man destroys them. It's very like appropriate.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like that theme.
I've got enough shocked Pikachu meme here.
Again, this movie, even picking out the good bits, it never had a chance of being good. Let's talk about what didn't work. Anything? Anyone?
Cinematography.
We'll start with characters and cast first. Yeah.
Since we started, we started with Whitaker for what worked. So yeah, I think if we just start with John Travolta, who's going to jump right in.
Would you like to explain?
So, I do not doubt that there is a universe where John Travolta actually plays this role with some aplomb. He actually like manages to capture the gravity of what this character is supposed to represent. He, the entire time, just feels unhinged. Just the over-the-top delivery, the voice that he puts on half the time, the strange emphasis at different points is...
He's trying very hard to be an alien and succeeding, I think. But in that, like, he's alien, but not good alien, like bad alien, like Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
I think that's a good way to put it.
I would have been interested to see same performance, but with more face makeup. So like the higher name actor you are in the film, the less makeup you have to wear.
Right, because you can clearly see that this Cyclo is John Travolta.
Yeah,
like you can tell they did not keep him in the makeup chair nearly as long as some of the unnamed Cyclos.
John Travolta with dreads and like a shoelace over his nose.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Whereas the extras, essentially, they get like a large, like bulbous, almost like a cone head that like tipped backwards a little bit.
Yeah, you've almost got like a combination like cone head Klingon thing going on.
A little bit of like almost like a Na'vi, like bestial liony face kind of thing.
Which, so like there is an image that they made for the book. It looks nothing like the movie at all. It actually kind of looks it's cool. Like I don't know how you would do it with the budget they had, but it's very furry. It's huge, big eyes, wears a mask like the entire time.
I always envisioned them kind of like a Saiyan from Dragon Ball Z, like a big, just like a big ape with like a muzzle. Like that's what I always, I think, envisioned. In the book, they're described as having fur, and they're described as having like jaw bones and like eye bones.
Eye bones, which is
bony
weird.
plates.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of effective in that like they're not always fully described. But the problem with that is then you get John Travolta.
Right. So I listened to the audiobook, and the narrator, it was a mixed cast version. The guy who does Turl's voice, he reads it very barbarian.
Okay.
Which, it was fine. It was certainly different than Travolta's. As far as cast goes, he's the only one that I really feel was like, oh, you stood out as real bad. There's really not a whole lot of big characters in it.
There aren't. No, like outside of Turl, Kerr, Johnny. Yeah, like that's like everyone else.
What about Chrissy? You remember Chrissy? She's
Johnny's love interest. But
yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah, fair.
I think there's like one scene where she hints like, "Hey, if we survive this, you want to make some babies?"
Yeah, I think they allude to future fucking down the road for him.
Yeah,
but,
and Johnny's like, yeah, they don't even feel like they're really interested in it. There's like, oh, we are the romantic couple, so we shall have this conversation.
Procreation? I don't know. I mean,
got time on
time,
Thursday.
I guess. Like, I don't know.
Like
We'll sync up our
dinner.
Google calendars and it'll be fine.
Like we all haven't had conversations like that. Jesus Christ. So themes, huh? What didn't work as far as themes go? Like, what is it?
There's no cohesive theme, it seems.
It's like an office intrigue with like an alien end of the world thing. Like the whole Kerr Turl inter-office intrigue plot is just like, what? Why? No. Like, give me more, either like focus just on that, which I think actually would be pretty cool. An alien movie, like an alien, like office intrigue.
Holy shit!
Like that would be pretty cool.
I'm certain. What's the station that has Star Trek?
CBS.
I think it's CBS these days.
They have like a bunch of different Star Treks. We could easily pitch like it's Star Trek, but like The Office.
Isn't that what's his face?
Oh, Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah,
but we would do it better.
The Orville?
Yeah, but we would have John Travolta. If we could actually get Forrest Whitaker, holy shit.
God.
If we brought the entire cast of Battlefield Earth back but never said a word about it, do you think people would get it? Do you think they'd catch on?
Like, never actually have anything in the promotional materials or have anyone in any interviews mention Battlefield Earth at all.
Nope.
But then whenever you get down to it and you actually look at the world, like, it is Battlefield Earth.
Yeah. Gold. Who gives a fuck about gold?
Yeah, it was never entirely clear to me like why gold was like so important to Turl.
Gold's gold. I mean, I don't know. I get it.
Shiny rock.
Yeah, I get a cool moment. I think from the book where like the Cyclos found Voyager. Where we sent out
I'll bring that up later. But yes, no, you're right. It's in the book that they find Voyager and they're like, huh, gold. Where'd this come from? Oh, Earth? There's a map? Sweet.
Oh, see, that makes a lot more sense. That
it does, but also, I guess I don't understand. Maybe this is just me on a global level, not even just like this movie. But like, why do we give a shit about gold? But that's just me.
Because it's rare.
I don't care.
But it's rare and it's pretty.
That's literally why we care about gold. Because it's rare.
Yeah.
It represents value. It's conductive, also, which is great.
It is that.
Like, also, it's a good conductor. But
all right, well, scratch that one.
Pushes glasses.
You want to defend genocide next? I'm gonna go to genocide.
I did not wake up expecting to defend genocide today, but
no, Steve, no.
This podcast will win some places. Oof. Yeah. So Johnny fucking commits genocide, like global
he really
genocide.
Does. He wipes out an entire planet of people, basically.
Again, if you
oh god, you're going for it.
Yeah, if you read the book, like he goes into like to how terrible the Cyclos were. Because so in the book, like the Cyclos all get destroyed about midway through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. No, I mean, it's like when you actually think about it, it is in fact indefensible because there are. I mean, all the Cyclo males are assholes that we meet, except Kerr.
If it weren't for the character of Kerr, it probably wouldn't even have occurred to me, which is probably my bad. But so Johnny has an even closer relationship with Kerr in the book, which I really enjoyed. It wouldn't have fit in the movie, but
Kerr is like the runt of the pack.
Yeah, they make fun of him because he's short.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, he sure does blow that planet up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You have to make choices as a species. Is it you destroy all the Cyclos, or do you let humans go extinct? I mean, it's also one of those
Yeah.
hypotheticals.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if, I would get angry and refuse to answer if I were the one proposing it.
I think part of it's like my beef with certain science fiction, like, oh, this entire race has this single personality trait that they all just, it's kind of like Star Wars syndrome, like the forest planet, the ice planet. And this is like, these are the dickhead John Travolta planet.
Lazy writing, except that again, in the last second half of the book, L. Ron Hubbard goes a little bit into like why this species developed the way it did.
Yeah, I didn't make it that far.
Yeah. So like, yes, the way the movie treats it terribly. Like the book, like again, L. Ron Hubbard is like, I think could be a good author. He just needs an editor.
If he weren't being paid by the word,
bingo.
Which I don't know if he was for Battlefield Earth, but he had for his like pulp work. Oh yeah. So he managed to like develop that way.
I mean, that's a hard habit to break. I think when you've gotten into writing in that style and that's how you're thinking about things, like
because yep.
If you're right, I'm sorry, we're not talking about the book. The movie, in the movie, Johnny Goodboy Tyler commits indefensible genocide.
Yep.
With Robert the Fox, who like the actor sheds this like single tear and it's really good. I'm like, you're committing suicide, but also as a director, I respect your performance right there.
Yep.
Actor who I've never seen since. So I added a little, instead of I don't think I did this in the first part, but I added a section for production because I don't think any of the production worked for me, but a lot of it didn't work. Specifically, the costumes looked like syndicated TV series bad.
Yeah,
like they're bad.
Like we joke about like sci-fi made for TV specials and whatnot these days, but like this felt almost below that grade for a lot of them.
I expected them to show up in Firefly, famous for recycling the Battlefield Earth, or not Battlefield Earth,
Starship Troopers.
So thank you.
Yeah,
there it is.
Oh.
Yeah, there's like it's like a train heist and I forget what the Imperial government is called in Firefly, but the soldiers are all wearing like Starship. That's
it.
Production.
Didn't like the production.
Didn't like the costumes. We already talked about how the aliens are kind of like all one type generic.
Yeah.
We've hit the Dutch tilt numerous times. We hit the inconsistency with the makeup prosthetics.
Yep.
The only thing we didn't hit somehow is just how bad the CGI is.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Like,
there are points where it's almost like Once Upon a Time bad, and I think I said that for certain things in Wild Wild West as well. But like,
keep in mind this is the year after the Matrix.
Yeah.
So like CGI, it's not like, oh well, CGI was bad in the back of the day. I'm like,
no, this
was the year after Matrix. Even Wild Wild West, there's some cool CGI in that. Giant mechanical spider.
Giant mechanical spider is great.
I think clearly it explains it is that this gentleman's embezzled their money and so they have no budget. And now I'm feeling a little bit kinder knowing that happened. But also, like,
that is a hell of a thing to deal with.
You could do, there's good practical effects. Like, and at that point, like, I know now practical effects are probably more expensive than CGI, but like back then, they probably could have done more stuff.
I remember watching the director's commentary for Serenity, and Joss Whedon saying like, this shot, we had enough money in the budget to show this shot. They like show like a generator thing, like we can only show it twice. We can only afford to show it twice, but we could like blow up and murder all the people we wanted to, no problem. And that was 2005, 6, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. You are presented with, again, with the people they had involved, it was not going to work. But if you had a half competent team, and you're like, hey, we lost half the budget, we can't do the CGI shit, what are some workarounds? As Firefly did. Like, Firefly had very few CGI things, and the little bit they did, they were like, all right, let's just show that really quick, and like, back off. And the rest was like, let's keep it on interiors.
Yeah.
Which I definitely didn't steal for later. Also, the sound effects were cheap. They like bought like a group, like a collection of like sound effects, and there's like laser sound, cricket sound, like, ooh.
I found a Casio at Goodwill.
yes. Which, like, not bad for a Casio.
Yeah.
But the score was also really, it was not only bad and cheap, it was distracting.
At times, yeah.
For me, it was especially like the fight at the end. I'm like, oh, you just went like generic sci-fi fight.
Mm-hmm.
Story. What didn't work for you with the story?
Buddy.
Yeah.
Again, like, I think there's some broad beats that could have worked, but the Cyclos are just so comically, cartoonishly evil. The like goals of like we have to save humanity versus like I gotta make some money from Kerr. Like they're just at an angle and they don't meet up to me.
I also had trouble kind of understanding all the various plots that are going on. Even reading the book, like it made a little bit more sense because I had the book as context. But even in the book, I'm like, wait, why are they doing this? It doesn't help that to me the characters were honestly Kerr. Even in the book, Kerr was the most interesting one to me. Johnny wasn't terribly interesting. Turl had his moments.
I mean, you'd hope so as the villain.
Yeah, but Johnny's just like Johnny, good boy.
Generic.
I feel like if you're gonna name your character something like that, you've got to make him. You got to make him great. Like you got to really knock it out of the park with this character.
Like the first couple chapters into the book, it was just like good old fun sci-fi. I'm like, oh, Johnny, good boy, Tyler. This is great. We have like big furry aliens with shark claws and like gas that's killing them off. Humans are in like their little tiny societies left over. I'm like, this is great, typical like. I would think like 60s, 70s sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
And then it just kept going.
Yep.
And going and
going.
And going.
What happened to Kerr?
I didn't realize I was going to get quizzed. I honestly, like, he ended up pretty okay in the book, right? But in the movie, I don't know that they cover...
I think they just completely lose track of him, don't they?
Because they zoom in, you know, like you said, on G-Trav's.
Oh no, he does come back in that moment.
Does he?
Does Kerr taunt him?
He taunts him at the end. Yeah,
right.
That's it. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, I think
he disappears for a weird stretch of time in between there, though, because you think that he's going to get killed after like the reveal of the bartender's head.
Yeah,
and
then Forrest Whitaker has this like really subtle moment where he's like, I fucked up. That's not the exact line, but it's very close to it. And he sells it.
Oh yeah, like the subtext of the line is absolutely fucked up, and he nails it because he nails everything in this fucking movie. Yeah. But he vanishes after that moment, and it all becomes the like F-15 dogfight or whatever that doesn't make any damn sense.
The floaty jets.
The floaty jets.
Floaty jets.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering that question. I don't like it, but I now know what happened to him. Kinda. Any other criticism we have for this movie?
Not enough theremin.
I could use some theremin.
I mean, we can talk a little bit more about how just terrible they were to women.
Oh yeah, good lord.
Like one named female character who doesn't really get any lines.
Yeah, I was trying to think if they named. I know she's supposed to be Turl's secretary.
I genuinely can't remember if they actually
air quotes around secretary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't remember if they had named her or not, but just like that whole moment is so gratuitous.
I tried to find an image of it for the Instagram post today,
and Google said no.
It was like, you dirty pervert.
That's it.
You were on the works Wi-Fi.
And that's how I got on a watch list.
Oh God, what was I searching today that I'm like, well, I'm on a watch list again. I was trying to I'm writing my novel and I was trying to look up high schools in the area because I didn't go to school in Pittsburgh, so I'm like, what are the high schools around here? Searching sexy tongue Battlefield Earth lady, followed by high schools in the area.
So it's that combination that got you on a list right there.
Yeah.
Like the first one, you're just like, you're thinking about moving, or you're looking at the school districts in the area for your many children. But as soon as you put that other term in, there's somebody at the FBI. Wait a minute.
Welcome back to DeRazzled. We're gonna do a thing. We're going to try to do a thing. We're going to try to fix Battlefield Earth, which we started with Wild Wild West, and that kind of went to my head. I'm like, oh yeah, this is no problem. We know how to fix bad movies, and then this movie happened. I'm like, what the fuck? We were originally going to, so like when we first watched the movie, it was a fever dream. Like I don't remember anything other than like, do you want lunch? Like that's all I remember from the movie. Jesus Christ. So like I rewatched it, and then we were originally gonna film last I don't know, like Wednesday or whatever.
Right, but then life happened for...
Life shit, being poor, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Which would have given me 48 hours to come up with a script fix. My dudes.
No.
Let me just say I'm glad we got, I think it's got a little bit like a week. You've been warned.
All right.
So a little tangent before we get into it. Here's where we normally stick up for the underappreciated crew, but I'm convinced that there was no crew, that the movie was literally farted into existence. So we're gonna move on.
Okay.
Normally I do like a quote from like Neil Gaiman or something like la 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 are so hard to make film. Don't be mean, but no. There you go. Battlefield Earth. Sometimes we go. So we have a couple rules that we stick to when we're rewriting these. If the crew did not have access to it when they would have been making it, we don't get it. The degree of CGI that they would have had, we would have.
Yeah.
And we get 2 recastings.
Two recastings.
Accurate. And the fixed version has to maintain the general story arc, right? Which I bend a little bit.
Yeah. There's room to play around in that to where, I mean, like once it's listenable, check out what we did with Wild Wild West. It gives you a good example.
Yes.
And that's it.
So I know what my cast would look like. What does Ian's casts look like? Like who you keeping, who you switching out?
Man, I mean, I'm keeping Forrest Whitaker 110%. God, like part of me wants to keep John Travolta and see what he would do under a different director, perhaps.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think he's too deep in the Scientology of it all. Perhaps
I have the same thing. Specifically, I say like movie wouldn't have happened without John Travolta.
Yeah,
but I do change his character a little bit.
Okay,
you're not going to be able to change him. So you have to write the character around him. So instead of having him be like, "Do you want lunch?" I change him into a big game hunter. He's like a narcissist. I mean, he is a narcissist in the film, but
sure.
He's that kind of like, he's an eccentric. Even among other cyclos, he is. Is it Most Dangerous Game where the dude's like, "I hunt man."
Yes.
Yeah.
Man is in fact the most dangerous game.
Yes. I would also limit his screen time, even if it meant shooting scenes with him that don't make it in the movie. Because he's like, "I've written I am the main character." I'm like, "No, John, you're not. We're going to film your scenes so that you are happy and can go back to your trailer. And then we're going to keep the scenes that are necessary for the film." And the example I use is Gary Oldman in either Fifth Element or The Professional, where he's not on screen a whole lot, but he is fucking kooky as shit in both of those films.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever he's on screen, he's great.
Incredibly memorable performance in both.
Yeah. Every time I take my pills in the morning, I think of Gary Oldman, like, because that's how you take pills. So I would do that with John Travolta.
Make him take pills like that?
Yes. Do you want pills?
Do you want pills?
No, but seriously, we're all heavily medicated. So I'm gonna recast John. You know, I really thought I'd recast Johnny, but either I didn't or I forgot to write it down. So you're in, Barry.
Barry Pepper stays
Barry Pepper
in.
fucking slaps.
Barry Pepper. Yeah.
Who I do recast is Chrissy.
So I assume then she's going to have a different role in this version.
Good.
I did what I could with a week.
I'll give you that.
I'll
sure.
put if it was like my script and my script solely, there would be way more of a evenly distributed screen time.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm not even gonna try to say her name. The actress who previously played Chrissy. Yeah, sorry, she was like definitely more of a model, less of an actress. I'm gonna replace her with, and this is, I don't know if this was like in my head when we were talking about Firefly over and over and over and over again, but Gina Torres.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Who like mostly did TV, still does TV, occasionally did features, but she would have been finishing up Matrix. What's the second one? Reloaded?
Reloaded, yeah.
And like rewrite Chrissy as like a no-nonsense rebel undercover in the Cyclo camp, which I think she can play. I mean, that's basically
she could kill that. Yeah. Absolutely.
A couple of production things. One, the score can only be songs that were put on the Voyager Golden Disc.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a fun constriction. Restriction. I like that.
Ooh, chef's kiss. Mwah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I've listened to maybe like half of it. There's a good variety. There's some weird shit.
Yeah, there's some
good
weird
writing
shit on there for sure. But yeah, look up the Google the playlist that's on the Voyager.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
can just listen to it, and it's like interesting mix. Other restrictions I would put on the production: no, not a single fucking shot outside of the ship. Interiors only, unless it is landed and it is practical. Do not show the outside of a ship or plane.
Okay.
I want there to be permanent smog layering the sky. People can read it as like Fallout. They can read it as like Earth just no good no more. But the practical purpose of it is to hide the limits of the CGI in the sets.
I like that.
And I am absolutely stealing that from Silent Hill. I don't know if it's the first two games. So I know the very first game, the reason the fog, haze, whatever
it
exists,
hides the way things load in.
Yeah.
So thank you, Silent Hill. So as I do, we're starting with a cold open, right? Johnny searches an abandoned mall for medicine to help his dying father. So that's staying the same. He finds medicine and starts back to his horse, who I've renamed Arthur C. Clarke. When he hears gunfire, he comes out in just enough time to see Turl shooting the fleeing Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh, Arthur C. Clarke, no!
Yeah. So he's shot. He's done. I wanted to like inject totems into this film to like summon the great sci-fi writers. So Turl calls back to Kerr, giving him like a victory grunt, right? Like we can't understand them yet.
Okay.
Turl is hunting with Kerr, who acts as a caddy. It's going well. Johnny screams from his position atop the parking garage. He takes a shot, an arrow fired, but narrowly misses. He retreats. Amused, Turl and Kerr give chase in their craft. To their amazement, Johnny holds his own against their ship, using his bow to cause a crack in the craft's viewport. While this triggers the slightest air leak, it doesn't stop the cyclones, and it doesn't save Johnny. He is stripped, including his father's life-saving medicine, and tossed into the ship's hold. That's when and how we learn that they can't breathe oxygen.
Okay.
And
Changed the Avatar
a little bit.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. And not much, just like cracking the glass of the alien thing. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a thing.
If anything, Cameron's stealing from me. Because...
Yes, you, Jack Culbertson, have invented the idea of cracking glass.
You're welcome. That also puts our hero and our protagonist, again, like immediately introduces them to one another, and it introduces us to the dynamic between Kerr and Turl. Whereas in the film, I think they were just like standing and yelling at some people, and Johnny just like runs into Turl's boot.
Yeah,
because he's
fleeing. When he tries to leave the container they've been put into. Yeah.
It's actually a little closer to the book.
Okay.
Opening credits roll over the funeral of Parson Tyler. So I've changed Johnny's father to the parson of the town. I don't think they mentioned that in the movie, but the town's kind of like overseen by a parson. This both sends Johnny into like questioning religion and his place in the world, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
But in the scene, funeral's happening. The clan sings like high wailing mourning songs as Parson, think like Darth Vader's body at the end of Return of the Jedi, like on a pyre of fire, ashes fluttering up to the stars, which I definitely didn't steal from the very end of Cowboy Bebop. We cut to Turl's office. He holds the golden disc, explaining its etchings. He talks to Kerr, explaining to him what it is. It's the disc, the golden disc, sent with the Voyager probe that first brought cycles to Earth. We talked about this a little bit earlier. It promises riches, specifically gold, which there was, just not for Turl and not for Kerr. Walking through Turl's trophy room, Turk explains to Kerr that he believes that Johnny is the perfect man for this yet unexplained job. We focus on the etching of the man on the disc before cutting to Johnny being tossed into the cage with the others.
Ooh.
I like that transition a lot.
Are they naked on the disc?
On the disc?
I think it's like Vitruvian Man.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's a man and a woman, but I'm not
believe so, yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's like Vitruvian Man and Vitruvian Woman. Pretty sure.
Johnny clamors to rid himself of his bindings. This includes a pair of hoses that connect to the port on the side of his neck, on the side of his throat. Because fuck those awful shoestrings that they stick up their noses. Also, I kind of like the body horror aspect of it. That's just me. When he does this, he immediately begins to suffocate. It doesn't take Johnny but a moment to realize that this device is allowing him to breathe in his new environment. He reinserts the tubes. Only then does he realize that the rest of the caged humans are staring at him, too forlorn to help. He looks at this group of humans, noting not only that they're downtrodden, but also severely ill. More than a few show obvious signs of radiation poisoning. A mound covered in a cloth tells us the end result of this sickness. So they'll have radiation poisoning and smelly old sack of bodies in the corner. Johnny grabs a cloth around his waist to hide his wiener.
Oh.
I know. If it was my movie, just wieners everywhere.
Wieners all the way down.
Yes, there we go.
Women fully clothed, wieners everywhere.
Yes, please.
He then shrinks into a corner for warmth. A cloaked figure watches from the shadows. Over the intercom, we hear an announcer summoning Turl to Planet Ship Nump's office, who we didn't mention in the summary, but he's just basically like Turl's boss.
Okay.
Cutting to Nump's office, we see a conversation between Turl, the head of security, and Numph, the director of the facility. Numph is pissed that he was out hunting for days, right? Like, so he was out on this hunting trip. Numph tells Turl that because the Home Office has ordered further deterrent of cyclopayment, workers have begun to strike in a nearby mine. Numph tells Turl to prepare his troops to break it up. Turl agrees, but before he can leave, Numph asks him how the training of Kerr is going. Turl says his replacement will be ready in time for his winter departure. So in the movie, we immediately learn he was supposed to be done on Earth. Everyone, all the cyclists fucking hate Earth.
Yeah,
they think it's a shithole.
Them and me both, buddy.
Yeah.
But Tur doing to Senator's daughter, and that's not okay, I guess. In this, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna leave like come wintertime. It's gonna be great. Kerr's being trained to take over. Numph's grin implies otherwise. Cut to the mining camp outside the dome. This was once a city, but is now just an irradiated wasteland. Human workers are being offloaded with the purpose of mining this dangerous territory. Johnny, shackled to a chain gang, exits the transport craft only to be caught in the chaos of cyclo miners arguing with cyclo enforcers. So it's like Turl's goons making the workers go back to work.
Sure.
This is not at all relevant to current news. Note, the higher the rank of the cyclos, the more humanoid they look.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So, we're establishing a bit more of a hierarchy.
Caste system.
Yeah.
You probably see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
An enforcer is overtaken, his croissant gun tumbling to Johnny's feet. It's such a fucking stupid prop.
It's a weird design
and like
choice.
their thumbs don't really wrap around it, so it's just like you guys really didn't think the costume department and the prop department did not communicate.
It's the fanciest of weapons. It's just
my croissant ping pong gun. Stupidest fucking lasers. Like, guys, Star Wars did cooler lasers in 1977. You can't tell me you just can't steal that. I mean, you stole a bunch of other shit. Anyway.
Yep.
An enforcer is overtaken, his croissant gun tumbling to Johnny's feet. Futzing with it, Johnny is eventually able to get it to fire, freeing himself from his shackles. Further up the chain, the cloaked figure watches Johnny flee. Panics and runs after him. She is able to redirect Johnny from the certain doom of the endless irradiated mine shaft and towards the presumably empty transport vehicle. Except it's not, and Johnny runs face first into Turl as he exits the craft. The cloak falls from the cloaked figure, revealing Chrissy. She scurries away before being spotted. Turl snatches Johnny up by the neck, which is a thing that happens over and over and over again in the movie. Mm-hmm. After shooting down several workers, Turl regains control. He has the strike leader brought to him. He lectures him on how good he has it. Definitely did have this conversation at work. He asks if the workers forgot what it used to be like before they had the man animals to mine the irradiated territory for them. He hands the strike leader a shovel and forces him into the mines. He's just beyond the reproach of light when his flesh begins to bubble and melt from his face. Turl has made his point. The workers return to work. Johnny, still held by his neck, finally passes out.
Whew.
I like it. 7 stakes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the movie, I didn't really understand, like, uranium's not great for anybody.
No.
So...
Yeah, that was one of my first thoughts watching it. It was like, well, you think humans are just like immune to uranium?
Yeah. So I wanted to like up the stakes. Like but like for real, like it just melts their flesh off their hairy faces.
Yeah.
All right. Turl instructs Kerr to have the humans retrieve the body of the strike leader. He wants the head sent to his office, but the rest can be loaded with the week's gold and sent to the warp pad. I forgot what that thing's fucking called, so I just kept calling it the warp pad.
Sure, that's fine.
I think the transport pad.
Yeah. In the movie, it just takes the gold from Earth and it zoops to the Cyclo planet.
I actually think it was Zip Zop Zoop in the film.
Oh, the Zip Zop Zooper.
Yeah.
We cut to the warp pad. We see the dejected faces of the worker class Cyclos crushed by the loss of another Cyclo who stood up to Turl, Numph, and the Home Office. Johnny awakens to the shock of being strapped to a chair. A red laser alternating between one eye, then the other, while images are flashed in the unlasered eye. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to do something a little bit more practical than swirly yellow beam of shit. Just, you're learning. A little bit more Clockwork Orange, a little less Honestly, it reminded me of that the thing the Riddler does in Batman Forever with a little like brain drain and like shoots like a green beam.
It is a little like that.
Oh yeah.
That would have been 95. Stupid. Turl reveals himself to Johnny, who quickly comes to understand what he's saying. Turl explains that he's teaching his primitive brain how to use cyclo equipment. He does this because he intends to have Johnny mine the gold that he found. Gold that happens to be in a very irradiated city. Johnny speaks in cyclo for the first time, refusing. Turl smiles, then flicks Johnny's head as though it were a bug. Johnny is knocked out, unconscious. Johnny wakes to the sight of his village. This is his like actual clan village. For a brief moment, he is relieved to be home. His friends and family come out to greet him. He calls out for his father, Parson Tyler. Their faces tell him that is pointless because he is dead. Before they reach Johnny, their smiles turn to dread. Bullets rain from the sky, tearing apart the village and the people in it. From behind Johnny, Turl tells him that he will stop the assault if Johnny agrees to work for him. Johnny agrees. Turl has Kerr round up the survivors, stating that you can never have too much leverage. An actual use of the word that makes sense.
I like that this is the first time that we're hearing you use it in this up to this point as well. So, okay.
Johnny's thrown back into his cell. He screams obscenities in cyclo at Kerr. Chrissy is not only astonished to see that Johnny is still alive, but that he is also speaking cyclo. She tells him not to lose hope. When he asks why, she signals to the rest of the resistance to show themselves. These are the Scots. They attend to the wounded from Johnny's captured village. Chrissy asks Johnny what else they taught him. He looks up. She asks if he knows how to fly a transport hauler. He smiles. Turl, pleased with himself, sits back and enjoys some Kerbango.
Kerbango!
Kerr tries to join into the celebration, excited by the riches that they'll soon share. Turl corrects him, telling him that his reward will be his promotion to head of security once Turl has left this awful planet. Turl makes fun of Kerr for thinking he'd get any of the gold. Kerr is fucking bummed, but attempts to be grateful for what he's been given. Middle management. Later, Johnny and his crew are dropped off at the site. Turl commends him on choosing such a big burly crew. These are the Scots. He informs Johnny that he'll return in a week for the first load. Kerr will stay and supervise. Shortly after Turl leaves, Chrissy and Johnny slip away in one of the haulers. I'm thinking like a big floaty flatbed truck. Returning to the dome, Turl is assaulted by the repeated messages coming from the intercom. Stepping into Nump's office, he is told that they are to keep all workers away from the warp pad. Behind Numph, on several screens, we see images of cyclo miners warping to the cyclo homeworld and attempting to overthrow the government.
Ooh.
Fuck the man. Numph explains that the payment deferment was universal and not just their site, but that some mining colonies have been using the warp pads meant for gold to be warped to send up small militias. It's not a serious problem yet, but it could become one. On this matter, Numph and Turl agree. His gold won't amount to much on a planet overrun by workers. Chrissy and Johnny descend down a shaft. This leads them to the war room beneath the White House. There, Chrissy lets Johnny in on the Resistance plan to nuke the fuck out of the dome. Johnny is resistant, saying that the reason things are the way that they are is because of radiation caused by nukes. Chrissy argues that Johnny's tribe is not the only one to be destroyed by cyclos. In fact, some tribes were wiped out entirely. Her face tells us that hers was one of them. Johnny agrees to drive the hauler, the nukes hidden within the delivery of gold to Turl. She and the Scots will free the rest of the human slaves before the nuke goes off. But first, they need to retrieve the nukes. They get the nuke locations from the war room and not the Library of Congress. Although I think that they are listed in the fucking Library of Congress.
Are they?
I think the missile silo locations are.
It wouldn't surprise me, because you need a shit-ass ton of security to get to, a Nike missile silo. Knowing the location isn't going to help you when, there's, armed guards and, reinforced doors.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The main reason I changed it to the war room beneath the White House is, cinematically.
No, yeah, much better.
But you're not wrong, Elron, this time. Turl sits in his trophy room. He looks at the head of the strike leader mounted on his wall. Trophy room shit. He presses a button and summons all security staff to his office. Chrissy and Johnny arrive back at the mining area to discover that not only have the Scots uncovered the gold reserve, which is actually just Fort Knox buried under Fallout, but also they've taken Kerr prisoner. They are only moments from cutting him open when Johnny stops them. He tells them that they are not animals. Kerr laughs, correcting Johnny, saying that they've always been animals. Johnny retorts that they won't be, not anymore. He sets Kerr free. The Scots are concerned that Kerr will get to Turl, but Johnny tells them that it won't matter by the time Kerr would reach him. A small group of men join Chrissy and Johnny to retrieve the nukes while the others haul the gold to the surface. Like boring late second act shit. It's what I call, you ever see Lost?
Yeah.
It's called crossing the island shit. Like, I just need my guys to get from that side of the island to the other side of the island.
But you've set up some good relationship stuff here. I think like the idea that Kerr's life is being spared in this manner, I think, is pretty effective.
And that's really the only way you can get over the like late second act hump is by having these relationships that you can have these like little beats. It's like character beat, little bit of plot to push it along.
Sure.
Nice token for Chekhov's Kerr. In the end.
Arriving back to the dome, Kerr's astonished to discover the entire Cyclo working class has been wiped out by Turl and his soldiers.
Oh.
Wow.
Just eviscerate the proletariat, huh?
What? Something I didn't mention, I was going to mention earlier, was... So you were saying, one of you was saying that John Travolta was like up here the whole time, like just kooky from the start. Yep. Whereas in the book, he starts out, he's goofy, but he goes like legit ass insane as the book goes on. There's reasons for it that make sense in the book that they don't bring to the movie.
Naturally.
He suspects that like the Home Office is like caught wind of his shit. I think he kills Numph. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I wanted to like bring a little bit of that back and also justify John Travolta's crazy fucking acting.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
So soldiers kill off the working class. These were to be Kerr's men once he was put in charge. Turl informs Kerr that he'll be returning home sooner than planned and that nothing will get in his way. They head to the gold site, Fort Knox, where Johnny and Scots are. Mm-hmm. By the time they arrive, the hauler is sitting, loaded, and ready to go. Turl tells Johnny to get into the hauler. He will be driving. He instructs Kerr to kill the rest. Turl and Johnny drive off. Kerr looks at the croissant in his hand. I'm not sure he can do it.
Eats it.
He eats it. He puts some butter on the croissant and eats it. As they drive back to the dome, Turl gloats about his plan. It is obvious to Johnny that Turl has gone crazy. This is confirmed upon their arrival. Numph is restrained by Turl's troops. Turl tells them that they can release him. The old man tells Turl that he was right to kill off the workers. Simpering, he says that it is better to be rich in hell than to be poor in paradise. Numph crosses to the gold on the hauler, places a hand on it. Turl asks him to explain. Numph informs him that their home world has fallen. The workers have seized control. As he says this, his nose begins to bleed. Turl crosses to the gold before violently pushing gold bars away. He discovers the nuke underneath. Rather than being angry, Turl is ecstatic. If it wasn't clear that he's lost his mind before, it's evident now. He tells Numph that he's right. Better to be rich in hell. He tells his men to strap Numph to the nuke gold bomb hauler and fire up the warp pad. He's going to send the nuke to the traitors back home.
Ooh, fuck.
Johnny, knowing that the people Turl intends to kill are just workers like him, decides he must stop the nuke from going off. That's when the Scots, led by Chrissy and followed by Kerr, arrive on horseback. There are no fucking jets in this fucking movie.
Excellent.
You couldn't afford it before, and you did it bad. Only horses. I hate horses.
I was going to say, the fact that you, of all people, are putting horses into this movie willfully.
Are the other ones named Isaac Asimov and Robert A. Heinlein? Because they need to be.
One of them's Aleister Crowley, actually.
Yes, big three.
I think I didn't go with Isaac Asimov, but there's more.
Okay. It's important. It's important to me.
Keep in mind, I did immediately kill the first horse that I saw.
You did. Yeah. You know, you got. I know you got your horse murder bloodlust sated early on. Unless you were not sated.
I can't remember. So we'll find out together.
All right, here we go.
R.I.P. Arthur C. Clarke, the horse. They arrive having already freed the slaves. They collide with Turl's stormtroopers, who don't stand a chance against those numbers. Before Turl has time to react, Johnny has climbed back into the hauler and is driving it away from the warp pad and the dome. Turl gives chase in the same craft he initially used to confront Johnny.
In the tree.
Turl fires Johnny at the nuke, sending bars of gold flying across the city ruins. Finally, mercifully, Johnny sees the means of his escape on the horizon. He aims a hauler at the entrance of the mine, the same irradiated mine he was forced to work in at the beginning of the movie. As planned, the hauler enters the mine perfectly, careening half a mile through its dark innards before inevitably crashing. Badly hurt, Johnny climbs from the wreck. He's certain he'll die, but at least the nuke is somewhere Turl can't get to, can never get it. That's when Johnny hears metal scraping rock. It's Turl using his immense strength to push the hauler aside. Terrified that Turl will try to retrieve the nuke, Johnny crawls towards the lumbering beast. Now close enough to the flaming wreck to see Turl. Turl, already feeling the effects of radiation, isn't trying to get to the nuke. But Johnny, his eyes bleed, his tongue has turned to jelly. Only rage pushes him onward. Thankfully, for Johnny, it's not enough. Coming within inches of Johnny Goodbye Tyler, Turl collapses, his body succumbing to the effects of radiation. Johnny resigns himself to death, but as the fire dims, Chrissy is heard calling his name. We cut to Johnny's village, mostly repaired, occupied with the remnants of his tribe, former slaves, the Scots, and a smattering of Cyclos. This is not unlike the real ending of Return of the Jedi, just with like less helmet drums and but the same amount of Lando Calrissian dancing in the corner.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you didn't tell me you're adding Billy D. Williams to this movie.
We can only get him for one scene, but yeah.
I mean, that's the scene right there. Well played.
When Chrissy remarks to Johnny that they have a lot of work to do before humans and, more importantly, Earth can recover, Johnny tells her that he's not worried, that they have help from beyond the stars. We cut to the warp pad as several working-class Cyclos beam down to join the celebration. They are greeted by Kerr, who passes around hugs, and Carbango. With their mutual overlords dethroned, Johnny and all of humanity are free to have hope again, not only for Earth, but for the stars beyond.
All right.
Snaps for that.
Hell yeah.
Post-credits.
Oh!
Oh no! Tilting up to the night sky, Gene Roddenberry's face forms with the help of the stars. Gene Roddenberry constellation literally punches a nearby L. Ron Hubbard constellation into stardust. The end. Fuck you, L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh my
you piece
God.
of shit. Thoughts, fellas?
So you've completely eliminated the influence of Scientology in this, I think. Well, maybe not completely. I think it definitely doesn't carry the same. I don't know enough about Scientology to give a thorough analysis of that side of it, but
yeah.
I think that you've taken it in a distinctly different direction that to where it would be far enough from those beliefs and that structure.
You've humanized the Cyclos.
Yeah.
So like there was one of two ways I could either rework this. Either I could rework it and stay loyal to the spirit of Scientology and hate myself, or I could say, fuck you, L. Ron Hubbard, you piece of shit. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Psychology is the only thing that keeps me alive every day to face this hellhole. Fuck you. This version.
I like this one.
Yeah, no, there's so much more cohesion in this, I think. Like just the character dynamics I think are clearer. There's not like the nature of the hierarchical struggle or the class struggle within the Cyclos themselves, I think is more pertinent.
I feel like that is like an element in the book too. It's just not really explored because that's not something that Ron Hubbard cares about.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there definitely were some class struggles. So it's while it's new, but I think it has a truism there that like if only the Cyclos could struggle,
yeah,
could overcome their masters. The Cyclo 1%.
So, like I said earlier, we were originally going to, I watched it and in like 48 hours, we're going to record it. Well, in that additional time, and this might be a little too real, but the news of what the Frito-Lay workers were dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
That news came out.
Right.
And pissed me the fuck off. My job is not anywhere even close to what they go through.
Yeah.
But I definitely deal with like some bullshit at work that why don't you love it here? You should be happy to have this job. where you sweat and stink and lick hard boots. But like having that come out, and for those who don't know, Frito-Lay workers, it was a specific plant. I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Washington area, maybe?
Somewhere in like the Midwest. Or
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
more Midwestern.
They're headquartered in Dallas, I believe. So they were.
Some workers hadn't had time off in what, months, right?
Yeah, like they were forced to work like.
Suicide shifts.
12-hour shifts.
Kansas. It's Kansas.
Thank you.
So forced to work, 12 mandatory overtime. Come in on a day off. Don't get weekends.
And people's hearts were giving out.
Yeah.
Like someone died on the line and they just like dragged them away rather than like stopping at the line.
Yeah, literally just pulled them away
like-
and
Yeah, I mean the temperatures that we've been having this summer, on top of the fact that this is a goddamn potato chip factory.
Yeah.
So like there's like fryers and shit.
It's hard to breathe with the
Yeah.
grease in the air. This is speaking from like working in restaurants before.
right.
Let alone like a massive factory that only fries shit. Yeah.
Yeah, just
So
little guy getting screwed.
that's where my politics kind of lean in anyway. But
You didn't tell me this was a socialist podcast. I quit.
yeah, having heard that news, I was like, well, can't get this out of my head. Fuck you, L. Ron Hubbard, even though I don't know what your specific political leanings are. All right, so we did a fix, and now comes the hard questions. What do you think of our DeRazzled version? What do you think its Rotten Tomatoes score would be? Its IMDb score? I will not be offended because I was working with shit. I was polishing a turd.
Like I think you've at the very least gotten this to like middle of the road science fiction movie. Like I think I think the soundtrack thing is what like gets it over the hump from like mid tier
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
The
7
soundtrack
out of
choice is
10.
such a fucking cool
and like
choice.
that I think like Guardians of the Galaxy, like having that like
Yeah.
soundtrack, like that really just like places it in a really cool way. So I think it's not going to be like the best science fiction movie of
No.
the 2000s or whatever, but like it's solid. Like maybe you get a sequel.
No. Please, no. So yeah, I'm looking for scores.
Yeah, I think that like just story wise and like and given my own politics, I think probably I'm probably leaning a bit more like my user score would be like toward like an 8. I think, but I think that 7.5 that you're mentioning here would be apt.
Okay.
I think the greater cohesion in the narrative, the paring down of unfilmable or unrealistically filmable shots and CGI.
Yeah.
The and the soundtrack thing is just so fucking good. It really feels I feel like it would have garnered a much higher score there. So to go from a 2.5 to a 7.5 seems fair.
That's real good.
I would say.
As we talked about on Wild Wild West, basically anything above a 6 I'll watch.
Yeah. IMDb wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Rotten Tomatoes score, do you think?
Weirdly, still a 3. No.
Harsh over there. Again, I don't know that it would be fresh, but maybe
all
like
just the ghost
under.
of Gene Siskel, and he's really pissed. No, I think Rotten Tomatoes score. I think I could see 65 to 70%.
Okay.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, certain 47% of the audience. or
Right,
whatever would probably
yeah.
hate it,
Yeah.
'cause socialism.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I was trying to think of like Temple of Doom, right? Indiana
Yeah.
Temple of Doom. Like, technically that's the workers
this is
overthrowing.
also true, but
And like, not once did I watch as a child and was like, socialism. That's what I
true.
want.
You're right.
Like, it's not something I would throw in people's faces. Like,
Yeah.
the Cyclos are so vile on their own that I think most people are going to be happy to see them fuck right off.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I think you're on the edge of fresh. I think, and again, I think like the soundtrack, man, like that's the idea.
Yeah.
That's just such a great stylistic thing. I love that shit. That's some Edgar Wright bullshit that I just like would eat up. Like
Seriously, go listen to it. It's got such a variety of music on it.
Yeah.
You have like, of course you have like the classical music, but then you have like pop stuff from like various countries. So you're like, don't know where I put this in the movie, but all right.
Let's have some fun with it.
Yeah. For me, I feel like if this were a movie on, does TBS even exist anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
If I were like 14, 15, and this was like a movie on at 10, maybe 11 o'clock at night on TBS, this would be my shit. I would definitely like get real close to TV so my parents didn't know it was up and watch it. I would definitely buy this DVD out of like the Walmart $5 bin.
Oh, excellent.
Maybe even the $7.50.
Ooh,
Yeah.
big spender.
Yeah.
Okay.
But only if they have a bunch of special features.
I mean, yeah. See, that's kind of the gamble that you run into whenever you're getting into those bins. Is a lot of them have no features.
It's bare
on them.
bones.
They're
Yeah.
bare bones, just the film.
Just give me like one commentary and not by a fucking producer.
No, specifically by Jackson Hammer and or Jackson
Every
Public and Doc
single
Hammer.
movie.
Just
If you ever want to hate yourselves, listen to the audio commentary for Ghostbusters.
oh, really?
With specifically the producer who's like, yeah, we got that location over there. It was real nice. Don't remember? Hey, remember that lion? We paid for that lion. The statue? I'm like, I think it's like Dan Aykroyd's just like, I hate that was awful. My voice.
Yeah, it sounded rough.
It didn't help. It's read like 17 pages.
There is that.
All right, fellas.
Juicy delicious. Yeah. All right.
Steve, where can people find you? What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?
That's a very good question.
Excuse me for a second. I'm gonna die. All right, no more producer voice for the rest of the podcast.
So, folks can find me at least between August 13th and August 22nd of this year of our Lord 2021, at Portals on Penn. It's we're doing a theater thing. So this is Big Storm Performance Company, but we're doing it's free. So it's COVID safe art. So folks will. So we do ask the folks to get a ticket. It's Portals on Penn, PENN.BPT.me. And so grab your ticket, show up at the first location, little theater bites, 5-minute things, COVID safe, and then proceed along down the street through these various things. So that
Sweet.
is Portals on Penn, PENN.BPT.me.
That's
Sweet.
cool as hell.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
August 13th through August 22nd, so on the weekends.
Beautiful.
I missed theater.
Yeah,
Same.
Theater's good.
Theater's good.
Joe,
Theater's good, bud. I know.
I love theater.
I know. You can tell. It's just coming up out of here.
Yep.
Just,
I think the ghost of that producer's haunting me.
oh no! Make fun of me, will ya?
Joe, where can people where can people haunt you?
If people people can haunt me at JM Neelis on Instagram. I don't post a whole lot, but I do sometimes post some art stuff that I'm working on, and yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll post some stuff promoting some of the stuff we're doing with this.
Nice.
And yeah, that's about it.
You can find me on the socials as dullboy_Jack. You can find the live screamings. If you just poke your head out the window and listen closely, you can hear the live screams every night at around 9 p.m. You can find the
You're
live.
a little bit late on that tonight.
Shit, my voice is fucked already too.
That's true.
Saw the screaming I did last night. You can find the live streams at Twitch and on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. You can subscribe to the DeRazzled podcast, where the thing is that you are currently listening to. Because how the fuck else did you get here? I've always wondered that. Steve, would you when I point to you, would you read this word? And don't forget to subscribe to DeRazzled on the thing that you're touching right now. We promise to
Razzle dazzle ya.
Yeah, we will.
There it is.
Really making good use of that theater degree.